Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hey everyone, Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and of course to the Savvy Dentist podcast. As always, it's tremendous to have your company for another episode of the show. Today I'm joined by an absolute dynamo, a real live wire, and I'm referring to Deborah Cooper, who's joining us all the way from New Zealand in Auckland. And when I spoke to Deb today, we spoke about a lot of things, and in the conversation you'll hear that we have a good laugh. It's a really fun conversation, but in amongst all the banter, in amongst all the laughter are some absolute pearls of wisdom and some real gems to help you get unstuck in your life and hit new levels of growth, new levels of happiness, new levels of fulfillment in your business and indeed your life more broadly. And what really struck me about the conversation with Deb was her ability to frame anything through the lens of gratitude. It's easy to be grateful for the good things in our life, but it's much harder to be grateful for the challenges. And Deb shares a really great way of reframing things and finding the good in things that you might not necessarily think are good. But when you go through this exercise and you do look for the good, what it does, it unlocks new levels of growth, new levels of development, new levels of possibility for you in your life and indeed your business as well. So do have a pen and paper handy because, as I said, Deb shares some real pearls of wisdom in this episode, and you're going to want to write some things down and not only write them down, take action on them because, as I said, if you apply them in your life, you're going to see spectacular results. So if you want to find out more about Deb and the work that she does, head across to her website, which is debzcooper.com, so DEBZ Cooper.com, and you can find some resources there. And equally, if you want to attend her program, which is called Awaken Your Excellence, which is a recurring theme of our conversation, head across to debzcooper.com, Awaken Your Excellence-register, and you can find out the details there. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. Deb is an absolute superstar. Here she is. Hey Deb, welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast. It is wonderful to have you joining us all the way from across the ditch. How's things in New Zealand?
New Zealand. Well, it's actually cloudy a little bit today, but, you know, we're a bit different to you Aussies. We can cope with this.
Hey, Deb, your work is really interesting, and we've had a long conversation off air and had a good laugh about lots of different things. And I'm curious to ask about the work that you do, but particularly how you found your way into that line of work, because I always think that, you know, when you're 17, you're filling out your career preference form. You know, for me, I would never have put business coach on my career form or anything of that nature. Yeah. Oh, I know you wouldn't, because unless you had no friends. But how did you find your way into the work that you do? How was that journey for you? I'm sure there was a few zigs and zags.
There was no zigs and zags. I literally, nothing. I went along to Dr. John DeMartini, who we know as a human behavioural specialist. I went to his business mastery course.
Yep.
I literally went to that 18 years ago and I went, this rooster's John. Hey, John, you rooster. This rooster's got something. He's got something. This is really solid information about building a business. I then went the next day to his breakthrough experience course and went, oh, this is nothing like what I learned. I don't like this. It was too much in the head stuff that I was like, this is not something that I could simplify. And because I didn't understand it, I got to know more. I've got that curiosity. Curiosity, they say, kills the cat, but I think that creates our genius. And that curiosity made me look into it further. And next thing, I'm in Australia doing 5 days training, learning the philosophy that he was teaching that I still couldn't understand. I came back, I still couldn't understand it. Wow. I said to my boss, because I was a personal assistant then, I said to my boss, we've got to put this in businesses. This DeMartini method literally flattens out any personal development, any chaos you have in your head. It just shuts everything down. It calms your farm so much that you can actually move forward when you're in a distress situation. And he was like, yep, let's do it. 2 days later, the dirty dog dropped dead on me.
Oh, no.
And I say that, you know, I forgot to tell you about that part. Yeah, and I say dirty dog. I was like, no, incredibly selfish. No, we've got to get this work out to people. What are we going to do? And I hadn't really thought about it. And it was only 2 weeks after his death when I was made redundant and I processed everything as much as I could, and I don't know what I'm doing or how I'm doing this. I went through a glass window and spent 10 weeks in a wheelchair.
Wow.
And I would say that was one of the greatest gifts in my life, because that got me to understand John's work. It got me to understand people, not just in the head, but in a heartfelt way. And my first client was my hand therapist.
Wow.
Which is really random, because she said to me, she said, you can't be happy all the time. You come in here, you nearly lost your fingers, you nearly lost your leg. You're too happy. You must be on drugs. And every time I went in, they drug tested me, and I'm like, I'm not. I'm actually not happy. I'm fulfilled. I'm inspired, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful this happened to me. And she was like, people don't cry with gratitude tears. I said, I do. I was so thankful for that experience, because when I look at my life was going wayward, and my structure, and I was definitely living outside. I was living in other people's worlds, as in doing everything of everybody else, but nothing, drink from your own saucer, not your own, the overflow. That's where you want to be. Put your own oxygen mask on first. And I hadn't been doing that. And so it really got me back to me. And after her drug testing me a gazillion times, they went, okay, we actually think you've got something. And she said, would you like to talk to my husband? Because he's got some stress. And I was like, absolutely. And she was my first client. Then I talked to her daughter, then I talked to her friend, and then I went, oh, I can put money on this. I'm getting results. And that's literally how I started my business. Prior to that, I was a personal assistant. But the only theme was I was a problem solver. I would say that would be my only theme, right from working receptionist, any of those events, anything like that was a problem solver. But that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about this going through the glass thing, though. And or immediately after that, there's obviously the physical injuries to deal with. There's probably some emotional stuff to deal with as well.
I love the way some emotional. Holy gamoly, I was a basket case.
Yeah. So what did you learn about yourself in that period? What did you uncover? How did you kind of get back to the essence of who you are? Because you said you were drinking from other people's cups, not putting your own oxygen mask on first, and this was like a monumental reset for you.
Yeah.
When you rediscover yourself and you kind of peel back these layers of other people's stuff to get back to your essence, your core self, what did you discover about yourself?
I discovered I had two personalities, one that I would put on for other people and one that I had for myself.
Right.
So I became the Deborah the entertainer, or Deborah the extrovert. And then when I'd come home, I'd be an introvert. I'd literally just shut right down. So I learned you can actually be both, and you can still function. But instead of doing a 10 out of 10 extrovert, bring it down to a 6 out of 10. And if you can bring that down and bring your introvert up, then you've got a balance of who I am. Now, there's times that I will be loud, and then there's times I'll be quiet. There'll be times I'll have an opinion, and times I'll be, I'll just zip my mouth. And one of the things, I went to one Tony Robbins event and I got one thing out of it, and I will say fuel. Tony, thank you. Was he said, not a worthy opponent. Not a lot of people, you don't have to have a worthy opponent around. So keyboard warriors, don't be a worthy opponent. You don't have to have your opinion. And I've reframed it to a wet blanket. If you're arguing with somebody, confrontation, sometimes it's just people you're not going to get through to.
Yeah.
You're not. And I think, and it's no disrespect to them, I just go, not a worthy opponent. You don't have to have a catastrophic moment to change your world. No. But I required that catastrophic moment because I had missed all the little warning, the little alertnesses, all the little experiences prior. So when it came and it immobilized me to really pull back and go, who am I? What do I want out of my life? What do I want my social life to look like? What do I want my body to feel like, look like? What type of finances, and it really just made me get specific and clear about what I want around me, but also what I want to portray myself as. And be me would be. And you and I talked about master planning. That is actually just getting specific. That's what it was like. Was actually going, what do I want to look like? What do I want my face to look like? What do I want my hair? And getting really clear on what that looks like. What do I want to engage with people? What type of people do I want around me? What do I want to, express? And because of all that stuff, it just made me really rewrite myself, let stuff go, bring in new things, and of course, we're ever evolving constantly anyway. But it definitely got me to rewrite me? What's my expectation on myself?
So for those people listening, the master blueprint experience, the master plan experience that we just referenced was some work that I'd done with John DiMartini, and I know you're one of the facilitators for John's work, and we both speak really highly of it. So for those people that haven't done that course, I mean, maybe that's just something to go and do.
Yeah, you can't hide from your answers. I find that with John, you can't hide from your answers.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and Jesse's like, yes, I know that one. You can't. Yeah,
I've had that experience of having those answers right in front of me, going, oh dang, I've got to confront that. Speaking of confronting things, again in that wheelchair, and recreating, redefining, who you want to be, what you want to bring on, what you want to let go of. You've become. And I think you've trademarked the word, I believe, or at least patented the word or somehow. Stressologist.
Trademarked it.
I
did.
So tell me about that. What is a stressologist, and how did you see that as your life's calling?
The stressologist word is a made-up word that my daughter and I made up as we were coming through customs. Right. And I said to my daughter on the customs form, I said, what am I going to say I do? And I used to say stress and conflict resolver, because it was just something light, like, who am I? And they'll go, are you Deborah, are you Deb, that whole, what are you? And I was like, stress and conflict resolver, and she was like, you're a stressologist. And I was like, oh, I like that word. And that was literally, so I wrote it down, and then we handed the custom form, and the guy goes, you're a stressologist, what's that? And my daughter just burst out laughing. So I was like, oh, hadn't thought of a spiel. Just somebody who helps people deal with stress and conflict in their lives. He's like, oh, do you want to be employed here? Funnily enough, he took my number now. He never contacted me, but he took my number. I'd like to think he took my number for my stressologist skills. I don't know. My daughter said, you're pretty far too easy giving out your number there, Mum. But then I went, this is actually a great name, because it makes, when you've got something, it's just about people leaning in.
Yeah. Because
if they're leaning back, it's either the bad breath, the energy, or I'm out of here, beep, beep, beep. And people lean in and they go, wow, that must be an interesting, and that's it. It just opens up a conversation. But I did trademark it, and we've had a few hairy people who have tried to steal it, and good luck to you. Just for the record, my team are on it. But I love it. It's just something different.
I'm thinking stressologist is going to be someone who's going to be inundated with work. People, like, stress is one of the number one causes of illness. We all, when you talk to people, I'm so busy, or I'm so stressed, or I'm so this, or whatever it is. And you hear a lot of people using that kind of language all day, every day. And so I wanted to ask you, how prevalent is stress? I think I know it's going to be pretty prevalent, but
to keep me functioning, to keep the internet going so I can podcast you.
But why is it so prevalent? What's changed? Because I don't remember us being so wound up when I was growing up. Maybe I'm just looking back at history with rose-colored glasses, but it feels to me like something's changing.
Well, I think we're actually feeling more. But in saying that, my dad's, bless my dad, but he's a firm believer. He's like, build a bridge, get over it.
Yeah.
Drink some concrete and harden up.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up. And I'm like, Dad, there's a little bit different on mental health nowadays. I think we're actually more in tune with it. Definitely employees pull out the stress card if they think they're going to get fired, and they do have that. I'm not sleeping well because things are stressing me, and us as employers have to tippy-toe on eggshells. And then as soon as someone pulls out the stress card, your whole agreement with them changes to another level.
Yeah.
So I think there's stress of 0 to 10. Everybody has stress. It's just a word. It's a label that we all put on each other. But you're stressed from 0 to 10. You can come in and the light switch is not working. And that can take you to a 10 going, I've got to get an electrician in, I've got to get this, da-da-da. Yesterday I had my car cleaned and I pulled over the side of the road after I came out, because I went to stress level. I went to a 9 yesterday from a 0 to 10. I was like, are you serious? My voice even changed. I came out of having my car cleaned, I pulled over, I had a call with a client, an hour, turned my car off an hour, went to start it and it wouldn't start, and I was like, well, this is odd. So I rang Dad. Dad goes, you're going to have to get AA. And I'm like, I'm not a member, Dad. And he's like, well, at your age you should be, because, no man's going to come and service you on the side of the road, Dad. I was like, okay, thanks, Dad. Remembering what my dad's like about stress.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I rang AA, joined them. They came out and the guy says, what they've done is they've left the car door open and it's drained your battery. And because you came out and you hadn't charged it enough, you come out, you haven't even driven 5 minutes and you've pulled over. And I was like, damn client. And I was so angry at that moment. I literally went from a 0 to, actually I went beyond a 10. If I said 10 was stress, I was like, are you serious? This is first world problems. I went to that.
Yeah.
Then all I did was I started going, what am I grateful for here?
Yep.
And that's all I did. I listed about 7 things that I was grateful for, being able to sit in the sun where I was sitting. If it got too hot, I could put my thing up. The AA people came. Yes, it cost me money. But I made that money of talking to that client prior to that actually cost me, I brought in more money than it was anyway that I was spending on that. But it was just the gratitude, and finding the gratitude in that situation at that time didn't have an impact on other people, because when we're stressed, we throw the wobblies out to everybody and they get it. They get it, and they can dodge as much as they want, but they can get it. So I literally just thought of the things I'm grateful for sitting here right now while I was waiting on the guy. But truly, because I came to gratitude for that situation, things changed for me. The world just opened up. It was just like, and the person arrived and he was so lovely and everything just happened. And then I moved on. It wasn't until I got home to my daughter's house, I was like, oh, wow, that actually wasn't as painful as what I thought. And I went, that's even funny, Deborah. You thought you were beyond an 11 when you were stressed. I'm like, that's nothing. And when we look back at those moments, I had to smile again and went, that was nothing compared to what it was. But I was very angry, I will say.
How do we stop ourselves getting to 11 in the first place? No judgment about whether people get to 11 or 12 or 50. I'm just thinking, how do we kind of stop it getting there in the first place?
Open your eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's at the end of the podcast. Open your eyes. Know that people will not do what you want them to do all the time.
Okay.
I think having that expectation that people can be mean and kind, it just depends. People will do a job, but then they may not do it to your liking. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. And I think that's the one there. And always do your best. Just do one. Start today. Today, I'm just going to do my best. And that is about driving, letting people in occasionally. Don't have to let everybody in, just saying. But, do your best with what you have right here, because I was a single mum with my daughter and I was 26 having her. Now, that's 26, I think about that. I definitely wasn't 18 or anything like that. But I had to do my best. Now, how I brought my daughter up, I wouldn't bring my daughter up at 52 the way I did. Well, actually, I wouldn't bring a daughter up at 52 now. I've moved on from that. She's 24. Yeah, I've moved on from that. But I did the best with what I had at that time. Now, my daughter, and my mum would, if my mum listens to this, which she'll cringe, and I'm sure the dentists out here will cringe. I remember eating rice, just boiled rice, steamed rice, whatever way rice, like a gazillion different ways to feed my daughter at the time. But I did my best with what I had.
That's all you can do.
And I think, and it's those things that we have to if we come away from the end of our day and go, I've done my best. And those things that you don't think you've done your best, find the blessings in it. Find what you did get out of it. I'm definitely frustrated with the car company with that. But at the end of the day, I didn't even think to check all that stuff. I didn't think to ask those questions. And it's me at the end of the day, because I'm the one who drove away, didn't check anything, didn't ask them. I didn't ask those quality questions. So it's actually all back to me. And I think taking that stress is not somebody else's. When other people have stress, you don't have to take on their stress as well. That's theirs. That's their stress. You don't have to take it on. And even as a parent, I still don't have to take on my daughter's stress if she's in chaos. I'll definitely help her with whatever if she wants that help, but I can't be that one.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And the other thing I've found as well is trying to take myself out of situations where I might not be at my best as well. And one of the beauties of working remotely is you can turn the camera off, right? You can just go, I think I might just get offline for a little while and go for a walk or whatever it is. And that's great. So taking myself out of the environment is something I do to try to perhaps sometimes shield others from the stress or whatever I'm going through. Because as you say, you can definitely put it out there.
Yeah, that's important though. Like people go, you're running away. It's like, no, I reference my glitter time. Do whatever lights you up and do more of it. If it means you can go, if you have that opportunity to walk outside and go outside and just appreciate the air, take your shoes and socks off, feel the ground, whatever, but just even stand outside in the rain, the wind, maybe just some fresh air or not, or go to another room. But when you do feel yourself getting to that point of I'm going to explode and it's going to affect other people, and especially as a business owner, any problem, it all starts at the top. If the staff are not working well, it's back to us being the owner. If things are not syncing, it's you. It's not them. It's you. You're the one. It's you. You are the king of your castle or the queen of your castle. So it actually all comes down from you. I say to people, there's three things. You want to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Whenever you've got confrontation, you can see them, you can hear them, you can acknowledge them. You don't have to agree with them. And that's in intimate relationships as well, but not even people who come into the practice or come into your business and there's something going on. You can see them, hear them, acknowledge them. That just shuts the chaos right down. So if you're having an argument or something's going on at work or home and you're just like, I've just got to get out because I'm about ready to blow. There's too much going on. Like it's just escalating bigger. Hey, look, I can see what you're saying and I can hear it, but at the moment I actually have to go away and I'll be back soon and we can come back and address it. Or I acknowledge what you're saying. I can't deal with it right now because my head is doing 20 gazillion things. And people just hear that. I remember Jacinda Ardern, our principal, I was going to say, our Prime Minister in New Zealand, our old Prime Minister in New Zealand. And when she resigned as principal, the Prime Minister, she said, my bandwidth was breaking.
Yeah, okay.
And I love that saying from a point of view that because if you can paint a picture with it, look, I can see you and I can hear what you're saying and I get that and I can acknowledge that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. My bandwidth is not going to take this in right now, so I have to go away and think about this. Like, not everyone needs an answer straight away, but we think we give an answer, and often when we give that answer, because I said so or because of this, it's erratic, it's emotional, and we're not regulating our emotions, because if we can regulate our emotions all the way through the day, then the universe provides for us, or the universe or God or whatever you say. People around us provide for us, whatever you want to call it. But when you're actually regulating your emotions and you're giving back to people in a way that from the heart, not the head, because the head can tell us anything, but when you can make those decisions from the heart, and which is not stressful, that's where things flow.
So you touched on a topic that's actually really near and dear to my heart, and that is emotional regulation. And I think it is actually one of life's great skills to master. And I don't think it's actually spoken about that regularly, to be honest with you, because
really?
I'm being authentic.
I'm just saying yes to you. I'm going to be a yes person. I'm going to be a no person.
Yeah,
that's
whatever
it.
it is. So I'm being facetious and I'm being glib, and I don't mean to be. But the point I'm trying to make is emotional regulation, I think, is a topic that I think deserves greater conversation, and I think it deserves greater intention and resourcefulness and so on around that. I was reading a book by Ryan Holiday. I quite like a lot of his reading, a lot of his books, I should say. And the book I was reading was called Discipline as Destiny. And it's about Stoic virtues and so on and so forth. And he spoke about the late Queen Elizabeth and her ability to emotionally regulate. And she was just so on point with it that you never saw a crossword or an intemperate word in the wrong environment. And so I wanted to talk about how somehow we might be able to practice our emotional regulation.
Yeah.
And how do you get better at it is what I'm trying to get at.
I bet you she used to lose her shite.
Oh,
outside.
I'm sure she did inside.
And
I'm sure Philip was on the end of a few bashings, wasn't he?
Well, he probably deserved it. He's rogue as anything. You've got to have
random.
I think to be a business leader, you've got to be a black sheep.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. And I think, and I think he's definitely the business leader. He's the one who's the black sheep, and we'll just keep him as a black sheep, and she can just keep that. He's a character. But in saying you regulate your emotions, I think it's a trust, and it's actually not as hard as what we think. And I'm going to say that very firmly. It's not as hard as what you think, but every day is different. Every day can be different. And I reference your PEMS, and your PEMS is your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. If your physical is out of order, you're going to deal with things differently. If you've had a poor sleep or you've eaten $500 worth of pizza at night, you're going to think differently in your decisions, or had it for breakfast, or you're going to think differently.
Yep.
So that's your physical. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't like the colour of your nails, you're going to think differently. You're going to energetically think differently. You're emotional. If you've had an argument from home and you've come to work, you're going to bring that stuff from home into work. You've got to bring that in. Or if you've had a crappy day at work, you're going to bring that home. So any of those things, your mental, your spiritual, if things aren't flowing, if they're out of kilter, how you react differently today can be different to tomorrow. So, and I think just acknowledging it, and I talk about you're seen, heard, acknowledged for other people. It's yourself as well. If you can see, hear, and acknowledge, you go, oh, no wonder I've got a sore tummy because I've eaten too much junk or whatever. Or no wonder I'm a little bit off-putting, because if you set your alarm at 6 and you wake up at 3 minutes to 6, you're cranky because you're like, I've still got 3 minutes to go. You know the ones, don't you? And it's like, it's just 3 minutes, seriously, but you're like, no, I need that extra 3 minutes. And you're going to be cranky through the day. So it's just about pulling yourself back and going, what am I thankful for right now? And that's all it is. It's just pulling that stuff back and doing your glitter. Do what lights you up, and only do what lights you up, because otherwise you're just depleted. You're all the D's. You're downhill. You're a Debbie Downer, and I say that because my name's Deborah, so I can say that. But you can snap yourself out of it, and it is, what am I grateful for right here, right now? Most people will say nothing. But actually, one of the things to be grateful for is I've actually got something to work on now. Yeah. I've got something to look at, and celebrate that. Oh, goody, I've gotten a problem. Because if you don't have problems, you're not serving anything, you're dead.
And one of the things I think is really important is what you spoke about, the black sheep with being a business entrepreneurs. They're usually the black sheep. I am most definitely the black sheep in my family.
Same.
I don't know how I am related to the rest of my family. When I first started trying to regulate my emotions, I ended up trying to suppress my emotions, and I don't think that's helpful either, right?
Didn't mean to do the pivot face, like, what?
Yeah. So I would go, oh, no. You can't feel this, you mustn't say that. And what ended up happening is I tie myself in emotional knots in order to try and be something, whatever. And what I found in all of that was I just bottled things up, and when things would, inevitably come out, they'd come out in a spectacular fashion, shall we say.
It's the Coke bottle. You shake it up and it sprays into places where you didn't even know it would go.
Yeah.
And it affects people in places that, I know that one.
And you can never fully clean it up, right?
That's it.
I want to just make sure when we talk about emotional regulation, you don't misunderstand us and say emotional suppression, because that's not, I think it's really important to feel all your emotions, express your emotions, but perhaps choosing the place and time that you do that is useful. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, a gazillion percent. I back you on that. Now, if you don't express your emotions, your internals will, I'm trying to word this nicely, your internals will screw up. Yeah. Your health will have an impact, because we know those ones who bottle it up. And we bottle it up, and then it comes out, and it is. And when I say the sticky, I'm going to go back to that sticky because I did pull that face. When you spray the Coke out, it's sticky. It has an impact that 3 years later, there's something on the wall and they're like, why is that still sticky? And it's that same thing that you said once 3 years ago. If you go to your children, what's something that mum or dad's done that's bad, and they'll go, I remember I was 5 and you did this, and it's like, oh my God, you were 5, you're now 40, you're holding on to that. And it's those stories that can have an impact on others. But I truly believe, I don't say hold it in. And I'm not going to go recommend pillow punching, and I'm not going to go recommend any of that stuff. If it works for you, go for it. It's not something I've tried or would do, or go to a shooting range and let it all out, or any of that stuff. That's just not me. If it works for you, do it. For me, my podcast buddy Moira, she writes things down. She writes it all down, her problems, and then she burns it. I'm like, does that work? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, does that work? And she's like, yeah. Do you not do that? I'm like, no, I just think of it and I just kiss it goodbye. Like, that's it. I find gratitude and kiss it goodbye. I don't let it linger on me if there's something going on. But I do look at my role I'm playing on other people. So if I'm peeved off with you because you've done something, Jessie, then I look at what role did I play in that. And so it's about me being accountable to me, my actions, my emotions, whatever. Now, I could say something to you and I'm generally thinking I'm helping you, but you may take it as an attack. And I can't do anything about that, because that's your PEMS, that's your emotion, that's your stories and your past perceptions that you're holding on to, because you have a different perception. If we talk about something, I can say one word and you have a story attached to that, or a perception of something that's happened to you. And everybody does. And so it's your perception of that. But when I say something, I'm not necessarily thinking that's what it's going to have an impact for you. But you don't want to be walking on eggshells around people. You want to be able to speak your truth, but also look at your own actions, decisions, how you are, what it is, but definitely don't bottle it up. If you want to write it down, if you want to go outside and shout it, like just do whatever works for you. For me personally, I get pen and paper and I'll think about what I'm grateful for. And writing has a different perception to when you're writing, you're taking it out of your brain dumping. So you're, instead of just going, what am I thankful for? Because that's still milling around in your head. But when you're thankful for things, you're pulling the weeds out and it's replacing with flowers. If I can, that's my landscaping advice there for people. But that's pretty much nothing wrong with weeds, but they do take over the garden, they filter in with things. And it's just finding what you're thankful for will pull you back to regulating your emotions. You can be thankful for anything and everything that's happened in your life.
I actually really agree with that.
I like to learn things in my head, definitely, but if I can learn them in my heart, they stay with me longer.
Yeah.
Any action or decision that I make that's from my heart, I try and make all decisions from my heart. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't happen all the time. Like, that's a fantasy that I'm going to make them all from my heart, because there's somebody who cut in front of the traffic of me yesterday and I might have tooted my horn and said something. Now, that definitely wasn't a heart decision to let them know that they annoyed me in the car. Was definitely a head decision, but I did pull back and the person gave me a slight wave, 2-finger wave, 1-finger wave, one of that, and I was like, oh, I'll take that as a wave. Thank you for acknowledging me and my emotions. But it's just pulling it back to you, what's important to you, and not letting your actions and decisions on other people. And I know John says, no matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love. And I think guilt stops us from moving forward. I've upset that person, so I can't do this, and it brings into our fear. So knowing that no matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of serving humanity, you're worthy of taking a step, you're worthy of that, then go and do it. Don't let anything that you've done, shame or guilt in the past, stop you from moving forward. We don't employ people because they're like, I was just talking to a client a couple of days ago and he's like, oh, I don't want to employ another business manager because the last one I had ripped me off. I'm like, how did we not deal with that? So we literally just started going through all the benefits of this last employee who had perceived he'd ripped him off. We found out where he had done it himself and where he took accountability, and he found out the gratitude he got from that situation. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, now let's look at who you're going to employ. What type of person do you want? Well, I had to giggle because yesterday he said, I've just employed someone. He said, I found someone, that list that I made of what type of employee I want, literally what hours, the fun, the money, everything. He got really specific because he was also open. He did that on his own. We found the gratitude to the last employee. He wrote all that down. Well, 2 days later, he just employed someone yesterday, which is exactly on that list. You got to let that baggage go, because otherwise you're going to get stagnant. And if you're going to regulate your emotions, you've got to let it go. And I don't know about letting it go, but letting it go with grace, ease, love, certainty.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just lingers. That stuff just lingers.
It does. And I know in the work that you do, you help a lot of people get unstuck and move through all of these different challenges and let things go. I know you're coming to Australia. Is that correct? Are you coming?
Yes.
Are you coming?
I'm back in February. I'm actually back in February. I literally that's why I'm in Auckland, because I flew back 2 days ago from Australia. I just ran an event, Awaken Your Excellence, and I'm going to run another one in February in Sydney at the Swiss Hotel in Market Street, right in town. And it's literally, it's beautiful. I like it. I like it. And there's a lovely Asian place around the corner, and I know the shops I go to, and just like it.
This is like your own little routine going on there.
My hood. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, totally. I don't want to change anything. It's working for me. I can see the blessings. And it's literally about regulating your emotions. It's about letting go, but I don't even know if I like the word letting go. It's actually moving forward, moving on, and it's about doing what you love and loving what you do. I really am firm about that. But if there's a niggle holding you back, because we all have a niggle. I don't know why I'm leaning in talking to you there.
And whispering.
Yeah, we all have a niggle, a little wobble in there, yeah, definitely. And so it's about taking that, unpacking that in a safe environment and moving forward. And when you're in that space, the creativity we created after this last one just at the weekend, just what's happened to people from that situation has been phenomenal. Just the moving forward, because as soon as you start unpacking it, it just flows. It's not as hard as what we think.
Yeah, and I think what's beautiful around that, as well as, you can move forward with your life without having that handbrake on. You can let go of those things, move forward. I think it is that ease of life. And I think that being able to find peace with a whole bunch of stuff that's been before, let it go, move forward with grace and ease, I think is really something that we're all looking for in life. And I think that'll be a wonderful event. And for those people who are interested, how would they find out the registration details and so on, Deb?
www.awakenyourexcellence.com.
There we go. Awakenyourexcellence.com. Simple.
But I just want to say, one of the ladies who came to one of the events, she had an episode that happened to her when she was 10. Now she was nearly 60. She's been holding on to that. She's an empowered woman in her business. She's put things aside, but she's been holding on to that for like nearly 50 years.
Yeah, wow.
That breaks my heart that she's managed to get through 50 years. That's phenomenal. But some of the stuff she's had to endure, it's like, gosh, if only I'd reached you earlier was my thing. But also knowing she's had that journey. But no challenge can't be resolved. No challenge can't be resolved. There's always a challenge to there's always a blessing in the other way of getting out a resolution to every challenge. We don't have to do it alone. I think that's the thing. Most business owners, I believe, think we have to do it alone. We're alone. I'm just going to listen to a podcast and it's going to be all right. It's not. You have to listen to a podcast, take notes, take action on those notes. Don't just listen and go, oh, yep, great, I've got one thing today. Just implement one change a day, one thing a day, and just see how that goes. Always do your best. Just start with those little things, just whatever it is. But be thankful for what you have and what you don't have.
Deb, I think there's so much wisdom in that. And ladies and gents, please do head across to awakenyourexcellence.com and register for that event, because I think that if you want to get ahead in your business and in your life, then examining those things that might be holding you back is a really good place to start. And so you can move forward with grace, move forward with ease, and really unpack those things that need to be unpacked and deal with them. Deb, you've been not just a very generous guest, you've been a really fun guest. I've had an absolute hoot talking to you today. You are one of the guests that I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I feel like I could talk to for 3 weeks, without drawing breath, because you're just...
It feels
great.
Like that too.
Yeah, it's good fun, and I'm grateful to you for making this experience for me so enjoyable and fun. So thank you for coming onto our show and giving me a little bit of glitter along the way as well. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. And I think anyone who listens to these podcasts, I'm going to say, take the notes and do the work. This is actually solid information that you're getting from the Savvy Dentist. You're getting information that can help you move. It's up to you if you want to do it. Don't let this book go into the bookshelf and collect dust. Don't let this go. Actually listen to what these tips are, not just mine, but anything that Jessie says. Solid information that will help you move in your business. Don't let this just be a one and done.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Deb. You're a good egg.
Thank you. And thanks for the internet, and thanks to my daughter for loaning me her house.
And also, I don't want to let it go unremarked upon, the beautiful Christmas tree over your shoulder.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast. For more episodes, go to drjessiegreen.com/savvydentist. And to discover how to build a high-performance dental practice, visit drjessiegreen.com and download the free report.